Hello, hello.
Hello. Hi, hi, hi. Let me
Hi,
go inside. Hold
it's
on.
just you and me.
Okay, yeah, let me go inside. My husband's watching TV. Give me 1 second.
For effortless protection.
No, I'm just gonna go inside. How are you doing today?
Does
Oh,
that sum it up?
you're having a nice day.
You want to know something funny, Arlene?
Yeah,
I want to
what?
stay on my toes while I'm doing this, so it's iced tea. Don't tell anybody.
Oh,
I don't.
we
I don't
won't
want.
tell.
Yeah,
It's
I
our
don't want
secret.
that. I want them to feel relaxed and comfortable. So yeah, I have
So
iced tea
one
for
of the other things that I
everybody.
was thinking about, I told
Yeah,
you I had some other ideas,
yeah,
was kind of the way that they had Angie's List, kind of
yeah.
kind of, you know, either some referrals or what to look for or what to ask, when you're trying to hire
I
a
have that too.
plumber.
When you're
Yeah.
trying to hire a management company, questions to ask. I have
Well,
that
yeah.
as
Yeah, but not even that if you're self-managing, a plumber, an electrician, a gardener, I mean, things that, um, because I just got the bid from the electrician that I had out the other day to just change a two plug to two 4-gang plugs.
yes, yes.
$615. I said, I don't think so.
Everything has tripled in price. Everything.
I mean, the gardener came, he did all the ficus around the whole house last year for 1,200. He wants to do one side for 1875 now. I'm like, it ain't happening.
We got people in the waiting room, but before we start,
Okay,
I'm gonna go run grab something. So right now it's just you.
okay,
Just
okay,
so you know. Hang on. I
okay,
will
okay,
return.
okay.
I'm live, Aiden. Don't bug widget. Thank you,
Huh.
buddy. Sorry, tell my grandson, don't bug me. I gotta go live. Wasn't somebody asking to see the kittens? I got one of them at my
Yeah,
feet.
yeah,
All
we
right.
wanted, yeah, last time.
I'm gonna let other people in. Here we go.
Okay,
We have a
okay.
lot for tonight.
Oh, good.
Hello, everybody. I know you're just getting logged on. Glad to see you. Just let everybody get logged on here. I know we got a few people still joining us. It's a little early. We got some things we're going to talk about tonight. Everybody's got their cocktail ready.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday evening. We'll just give a chance to get everybody logged on. I know we had quite a big turnout on the internet for tonight. Here comes one of my little hellions. Let me see if I can grab a hold of her. Oh, here's one. Can you say hi? Can you say hi? No, not tonight. Not tonight. You're gonna be good. Huh? No, you're gone. And that was the end of that.
Unfortunately, my speaker's not working.
Uh-oh. Can you not hear us? Huh. All right. Oh. Does anybody have anything they want to talk about this evening? Current legislation, anything at hand so I can put it on my agenda?
I want to know
No.
if anybody has gotten those letters from the insurance companies about changing their main panels.
Mainly in RSO, correct?
I don't think so. I think that I think it's either citywide or statewide, I'm not sure. And I don't know where it's coming from. But I think probably from SEP inspections, probably, I guess.
And then I'm going to talk about insurance too, because apparently State Farm, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. I think that's them. Is pulling out of LA County and not renewing owners' policies.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Hmm.
I'm having it happen through various owners, so. Oh no. I should have charged my phone from the noon session today. Oops.
I can hear you.
Can everybody else hear me okay?
I hear you.
It's just so odd. Maybe if she tries to get out and get back in again. And she can't hear us, so I feel like I have to type something.
I
Try logging off
can hear you. I'm
and
done.
coming back.
Hmm.
We got other people that can hear me, right? If you can hear me, type a 1 in the comment section. You know, in the little chat box, type the number 1, just so I know you guys can hear me. Arlene, I know you can hear me.
Why can I
Okay,
hear
so
you?
I don't know, Lisa.
Oh, there you go.
And then I muted. All right. Here we go. I tried. All right. So tonight we're going to talk about a couple of things. I know we had a pretty big turnout, so I'm expecting that we're going to be adding people as the evening goes on. I wanted to do something a little bit less formal, if you will. I know a lot of times we're sitting in our offices doing the Wednesday with Widget, and we can't really ask the questions we want to because we're scared our supervisor might hear us or something along those lines. So I wanted to do an evening class that was much more casual. We were having more like a conversation. Please have a cocktail. I'm having mine, okay? Make yourself a cocktail. Let's relax and enjoy and talk about some of the things that are precedent upon us right now, especially in the LA County area. I mean, we got a lot going on with upcoming legislation. For those of you that haven't been able to follow close with what's happening, we have Prop 33 that will be on our ballot in November. So in November, we'll be dealing with Proposition 33. It will be on your ballot. This will repeal Costa-Hawkins and implement vacancy decontrol. Simply said, what does that mean for all the rest of us, Patty? It means when your property goes vacant within the state of California, if your property goes vacant, what will happen is you do paint and carpet and make it rent ready, okay? You get all that ready to go. And then what happens is you're only allowed to do the increase allowed by your city or the county or the state, rather than, let's say my rent's at $800 and market value's at $2,500. Tenant moves out, they've lived there for 20 years. I'm doing paint, I'm doing carpet, I'm doing all kinds of stuff. And now I go to put it back on the market, and it's in unincorporated LA County. It's going to be at $800 plus 4.2%. You can't bring it up to market value if this passes in November. So it's very, very important that we vote no on Prop 33. This guy's been at it for quite some time. Harvey Weinstein tried to do this for quite some time. He actually is one of the founders of the AIDS Foundation, and he is using money raised for AIDS research to fight for rent control. So prop number 34, we want to vote yes on, no on 33, and yes on 34. What Prop 34 is going to do is it is going to make nonprofit organizations that raise money for a certain entity spend that money within that entity. In other words, you cannot use a nonprofit in the medical field and gain funds from that nonprofit in the medical field and then use those funds to fight for some other kind of legislation like rent control. That's exactly what's happening. Weinstein is part of the AIDS Foundation and is using the money raised for AIDS research to fight rent control, because when he was young, they had rent control where he grew up in New York, and it really helped his family. So he's adamant that that's what's going to save the planet. Yeehaw. Okay, everybody got that? No on 33. Yes on 34. And I'm having a technical problem, so bear with me really quick. Okay. And we're letting people in. All right, so if you're just joining us tonight, we're having an open conversation. There's a few of us here. Some of us have already told me they're going to be a little bit late. We're talking about the propositions that are going to be on the ballot in November. That would be Proposition 33 and Prop 34 are the two that really affect our industry the most. We want to vote no on 33 and yes on 34. We do not need them to repeal Costa-Hawkins. It would totally annihilate some of us. I mean, some of us right now are struggling very difficultly to make ends meet and make the equation work in regards to rent increases, mortgage payment, and what we're allowed to do. It is becoming very challenging when you throw repairs in there. So if Costa-Hawkins were to pass and they repeal that, it can be very nasty, and I'll leave my statement at that. I don't think it's going to go well. So we're yes on 33, no on 34. Arlene has a question. If anybody in the LA City or LA County area is getting letters from their insurance company about upgrading their main panels. And if you don't upgrade your main panel on your electrical outlets, I'm sorry, on your panel, they're talking about dropping you as a client. She's starting to see this coming through in LA City and wonder if anyone else is feeling this or if it's just her. Sometimes we feel like it's just us being attacked, and getting in these meetings let us know, no, it's not just us. I can also tell you that various insurance companies are currently trying to pull out of LA County altogether. I know State Farm is one of them, and I'm starting to get letters from owners that have never filed a claim. I've had them for 12 years, and they're telling them that they're going to be pulling out of the state and that they're no longer going to be able to insure them. So that can be quite frustrating and overwhelming when it happens. If it happens to you, please feel free to reach out to me. I have an insurance broker friend that has been able successfully to actually insure owners in California without much of a price change, if any. If not, I've actually had 2 owners tell me he saved them money. So, hey, it's all about what we do, right? But if you need help with insurance, please let me know. I have a brokerage that has reached out to help our members make sure that they have the coverage that they need. Anybody have anything?
Well, today I just had the visit by an insurance person at my property. I spoke to you the other day, and you gave me the name to the gentleman for the insurance. I haven't gotten a call back from him yet, but previously, before I spoke to you, the agent was from Farmers Insurance, and he told me had I been with them, he would have been able to keep it. But he checked the boxes too, and he said the aluminum wiring is a negative for me. And he said there's like a lip in the laundry area of the concrete that has to be smoothed out. And he said, you know, we have a pool.
Okay.
That there's not so desirable anymore, although it is gated and it's, you know, upkept, you know, really nice. There's no rotting on the wire on the gates or anything. So yeah, they don't like pools. My building's 1959. So that's another thing too, the older buildings. So
I get it. I get it. But it's
Yeah.
like all of a sudden we think we can breathe a little bit and it feels like we're being attacked all over again. So I get it. I understand if we're not getting hit from code enforcement, we're getting hit from the insurance company. It's not
Yeah.
one thing, something else.
yeah, I've been with State Farm for 28 years and I have no claims or anything on it. And that's not even a plus for me because we don't even have any claims. So
Right. I've had similar clients have the same problem, probably 6 within the last 30 days, I'd say, of hey,
Mhm,
my insurance company's pulling out of California kind of thing.
mhm,
So not anything we did. So if anybody else needs help with that, make sure you let me know. I'd be more than happy to help assist you. So letters from insurance companies regarding main panels, insurance companies pulling out of LA County, haven't seen much of that. And then I'm gonna be adamant about the assembly bills. I don't know if any of you caught Agla's class yesterday, but
Mm.
immediately as I started to teach the class and they introduced me, I immediately handed it back to Dan so that he could educate everybody on Prop 33 and Prop 34. They
Oh.
are detrimental to our business, and I can't encourage you enough to make sure not only that you understand what you're voting for, but spread the word. We need as
Right.
much help. We need as much help as we can get.
And send money
Yeah.
to the legal fund of the PAC. The other thing that people need to be aware of is get educated on the Howard Jarvis situation. Because
Yeah.
they're trying to eliminate, well, they already have, we're trying to get it retroactively changed. We've all lost Prop 13. So if you're planning on leaving your home to your children, they're not getting the tax benefits, and a lot of people are losing their properties
Wow.
because they can't afford the taxes.
Correct. So what they're doing, just so you guys understand, is in the event of a death and someone is inheriting your property or you're inheriting someone else's property, they have passed a law that reassesses the taxes at market value. And the person that's inheriting now inherits this new tax bracket of property taxes. We're trying to repeal that. We're trying to make that go away.
Yeah, trust fund doesn't help anymore either for that.
No, and Arlene, if you would help me pipe in, because I hear you on there. I know sometimes you gotta run in and out with
Mhm.
whatever you're working on. But if
Mhm.
you would talk to me very briefly, and please don't say the attorney's name,
Mhm.
okay?
Mhm.
But I know very recently you heard an attorney say something. What is it that they said that you knew was wrong?
Oh, all right. Give me a moment because I have to think we were.
You got to go through the Rolodex. I know.
Yeah, I gotta think what we were talking about. Hold on one second. Oh, what did he?
And-
Oh, he said. Oh gosh, was it about rent increase?
It was about rent increases. Yes.
Right, right.
You can
Rent increase,
sing
right.
any single family, and I'll shut up. I
Right.
just
Okay,
want to.
okay.
I'll
Now
shut
I
up.
remember. Now I remember. Okay. Yeah, he was saying that if you have a single family in California, that you can raise your rent to whatever you want to get somebody out, and you don't have to pay relocation. And my understanding is that's not accurate. So we were talking about why would somebody who is supposed to be representing people say something like that, and the bottom line is
The answer we came up
is that's how you get business.
with.
Because you
Attorneys,
put them, they're in a bad situation and now they have to call you for help.
So what I want to say to all of you guys, and I want you to hear me as loud as you possibly can, is think of your rental property relationship like a marriage, okay? It's good until it's not, just like a marriage. It's good until it's not. But if you have one fight or one disagreement, you don't call your divorce attorney, you call Conroy's florist, right? Just saying, your attorney needs to be the very last plan of action in your arsenal of weapons. They are not your first line of defense. They are not your first point of contact. An attorney will give you information and lead you to do something to cause an eviction so they can make money. Okay?
Yeah.
They will lead you to do something in litigation that will cause more litigation so they make more money. That's how they make money, is if they're in court. Okay?
Yeah.
So please remember that. It shouldn't always be your first choice of action, your first point of contact. No, just like in a marriage, you don't go to your divorce attorney when you get in your first argument, disagreement, or have your first tiff. It's not what we do here. Same concept needs to apply when it comes to your housing. Remember, your attorney's there to make a living practicing law, right? They can't do that unless you hire them to do something. So when you're calling and asking for advice, you may not always get good advice. Why is Arlene saying that that attorney's statement is very incorrect? I'll give you several reasons, Roy. Even though it's a single family residence and it's in the state of California, if it's held under a corporation, it's subject to statewide rent control. If it's held under an LLC, it's subject to statewide rent control. If we're currently in a state of emergency and you raise rents over 10%, you are subject to 6 months in jail and a $10,000 fine. It's called price gouging during a state of emergency, and it's California's civil code. No, retract. It's California Penal Code 396 subparagraph B, okay, which specifically mentions rental housing. With that being said, that blind statement is if you have a single family residence anywhere in California, you can raise your rent whatever you want to, is not correct. It's a very blind blanket statement. And thank you, Arlene, for catching that sometimes even the people that we think we're hiring to help us are leading us to disaster. So common sense is a big plus here, but please remember, your attorney is your last point of contact, not your first point of contact. Just like in a marriage, you don't call your divorce attorney the first time you guys have an argument about who's going to wash the dishes, right? Kind of like who's going to pay for the dead grass. We're having an argument here. We're not going to go to our divorce attorney over an argument, over a tiff. We're going to sit down, step back, get some advice, get something solid, and go forward with it. And we are going to try to manage this situation to the best of our ability. And our Hail Mary last plan is eviction. The reality is, especially if you're trying to evict in Los Angeles County right now, let me spell this out a different way. We have AC and BC, right? After COVID, before COVID. Sorry, somebody text me. Before COVID, there was a 50-50 shot that you would have to go to trial in your eviction case. And there was a 15% chance that they would ask for a trial by jury. After COVID, those tables changed. And now it is not a 50-50 that you're going to trial. It's a 80-20 that you're going to trial. 80-20
That you're actually going, or they're just requesting?
that they're requesting. And it's a 50-50 shot if you're going to jury. And we're seeing that number climb and climb and climb. And the reason being, and the reality is, they don't want it to go all the way to a jury trial. They don't want the fact that they haven't paid you rent for 6 months spread out against their peers. All they're doing is buying time and costing you money. If I had to speak out loud, I would say that the average trial in LA for jury right now is going to take you 8 months, give or take, and cost you about anywhere from $8,000 to $13,000.
Hmm.
What?
Yikes.
Yeah, but now they
Extortion.
just, right, but the city council just passed that thing where they're gonna be providing legal counsel for people being evicted. And
Honey,
paying
they've
for it.
already been doing that. That's the part you're missing. The Shriver Act was passed back in 2017, and it's how BOSTA has made a living and how all these other tenant advocate groups and attorneys have provided free legal counsel to these groups. Now, the group of the DCBA is saying we're going to have our own free legal counsel. So it's just another tenant advocate group. It's just another free legal term. Got it?
Wow.
The weird, sick, disgusting, twisted, honest truth of it is this. Those pro bono attorneys are free. When a tenant goes to see them, they may charge them $100, they may charge them $50. The most I've heard of them charging is $400. And then they sign the retainer. Do you know that that retainer says that any money awarded to the tenant, 33 1/3% will be awarded to that attorney?
Mhm.
Why do you think they hold your foot to the fire to ask for relocation fees? Because that's how they get paid. They get 33 1/3% of any money you give the tenant. Oh, but they're nonprofit. We all know what that's all about, right?
No.
It's extortion any way and every way you look at it. You want to avoid the legal process. Here, if I say it this way, I think I'll get a lot of agreement. Our legal system is broken. Because our legal system is broken, our government system is broken. It's all broken. It's like it's not justice anymore. It's just us. Okay? It's not justice. It's just us. And I think that's the nicest way I could explain it. We're the ones that are suffering. We're the ones that are hurting from all of this. And it's just not fair to us as landlords. I take a phone call at least 2 a week now of landlords that are in a position where they just can't hold on to the investment anymore because they can't raise their rents to keep up with the repairs. I'm sorry, my hair is parted on the wrong side and it is driving me crazy because it just feels like, never mind. Women, I got you. You know what I'm talking about. my hair is not in the right place. It's just weird. It's off. It's making me not feel balanced. There you go. All right. So we talked about legislation. We talked about what's going on. Dan said something yesterday, and I'm glad he said it and I didn't have to. He said they're trying to make California just like New York, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to make the rules so restrictive that landlords can't be profitable at what they're doing to drive them out so that the city can purchase the property pennies on the dollar and they have control. It's exactly what happened in New York. And like Dan Eukelson said from Magla yesterday, he's seeing it's a mirror. It's happening again. It's just happening here. So that part of it makes it a little more frustrating, a little, get out, get out, Newsom, get out. Sorry, I won't rant anymore. Does anybody else have anything they want to talk about? Legislation, anything that's going on? This is our time to put our cards on the table and talk about real issues.
I have a question for you. I have a tenant who, their son moved in during COVID, you know, where they had that thing where, you know, if anybody is in danger of being homeless at the time, they can move anybody in with them.
Yes.
Unfortunately, he's still there
What city is this in?
in Downey.
when you run the address through Stay Housed LA, does it come up that you're under City of Los Angeles or LA County?
Unfortunately, I haven't not done that yet.
Ha, we want to start there, okay? Because we need to know what governs us before we go poking people in the eye. The reason that I'm saying this, and just hear me out, okay,
Mhm.
is yes, they did allow unauthorized occupants through COVID. And if the tenant in LA City, I believe, and it could be unincorporated LA County also under DCBA, notified the landlord prior to March 1st of this year, I believe it was. And there's a lot of stuff I store in my blonde brain, so don't always quote me to the exact dollar amount or the exact date, please. Okay? Because I'm not looking at any notes. And people think I'm crazy. If you've ever seen me in person, you'll know, oh yeah, she's Looney Tune. She has so much stuff in there. It's crazy.
I have a photograph.
Okay, sorry. Yeah,
Your
it is. I have a photographic memory and I stored it in my own little Rolodex. Sometimes it takes a while for it to come out. Sometimes it doesn't come out till 4 a.m. But hey. Okay, reel me back in. What were we talking about?
We're talking about the tenant's son that moved in. In
Okay. So in
COVID.
LA City, they said that the tenant needed to notify you by March 1st, and it could be unincorporated LA County too, I believe. I'm gonna have to look. If they notified you by March 1st of the unauthorized occupant that came in during COVID, then they became an occupant and they got to stay there, no additional rent, no additional anything. Now, here's the issue with that. If your tenant didn't notify you of the unauthorized occupant so that they could become an occupant, they're an unauthorized occupant. And you have
Well-
every right to serve them a 3-day cure or quit to get rid of them as long as you have not accepted rent from the son.
Oh, no, I haven't. And actually, at the time, actually, she asked for COVID money when she was renting with me. This is when COVID first started. She moved in. She was with me for 6 months, and she was
Okay.
paying fine. And then all of a sudden, COVID happened. She used the money to go to trucking school and learn how to drive a truck. And at the same time, her son moved in and he tried asking for money as well from the COVID funds. And they asked me about it. And I said, no, because I didn't know that he was living there. And so they were trying to use the same address for
Okay.
money separately. And so I denied that one. And then shortly after that, he started showing up, and she said that she needed him to be there because she was always gone with her truck just to see what was going on at the apartment, to watch her things. And then, he ended up just being there. And I said, well, if you want to add him to your contract, she says, no way. She goes, I don't want him on my contract. But he's still there.
I know why.
And he's rude when we come with our people serving like pest control, and they knock on the door for him, because we give them the notice and they knock on the door, and he's rude, and he's like, you're waking me up, and he's yelling at them. And I said, hey, look, I said, you can't do that. I said, you're not a tenant on contract. Is that wrong for me to say that to you?
No, you're 100% spot on.
Okay.
In fact, you shouldn't be talking to him or negotiating anything with him because
That makes him a tenant.
no, it doesn't make him a tenant. You shouldn't be negotiating or doing any of that with him because he's not a tenant. Does that make sense?
Yes, but I give him the 24-hour notice that the pest control people are coming, and we use a pass key if nobody's available. And if he's there and he's sleeping, and then he's like lying at the door, what do I do?
Is he's either allowing entry or refusing entry, and if they're refusing entry, then that's a violation of California Civil Code 1954.
Mm-hmm. And so
Sorry, see what I mean? How do I know this stuff by heart? It's crazy.
So now I just have to find out where I fail, if I fall in LA City or LA County, and then I can do something to remove him.
Yes.
'Cause I
So
read
the first thing I'm going to tell you to do is pull up a website called stayhousedla.org. It's for
Okay.
anybody that's within LA County. I'll repeat it. Stay housed, HOUSED, LA.org.
Okay.
Stayhousedla.org is what the tenants use. One of my little kittens is mewing at me, sorry. Is what the tenants use to find out what rules govern them and what protections there are. So when you go to this website, you need to be open-minded that you're going to the website of the enemy.
Yes.
Because the first thing it says is, got an eviction notice? We can help you. So don't be like, hey, Patty, why did you send me to the enemy's website? No, I did it on purpose. I want to know what the enemy knows. You should know what they know too.
Okay.
With that being said, go there. When you get there, it says the eviction process off to the side. It says get started, and then to the right, it says the eviction process. I want you to click on the eviction process.
Okay.
Okay. And then it should say how evictions work. And then I want you to scroll down until the background changes color from white to yellow green. And when it does that, it'll say laws for your area, and you can type in an address right there. Type in the address right there. And when you hit enter, it will pull up what laws govern that address.
Okay.
What city law, what county law, what state law, what your maximum rent increase is. It tells you everything. It is a playbook for the enemy. So
Okay.
I keep sending everybody there, because if that's where they're telling tenants to go see if the landlord did a proper rent increase, hello, you
Well, I
use
go-
the same thing
I-
they use, and we'll be good.
Right. So if it, if it says I have to evict all of them, or is it just an eviction just for the other people to go?
You can't pick and choose who you're evicting. It's
Okay, so
discriminatory.
even though they're not tenants on contract, because his girlfriend's
You're evicting the family because they're refusing to get rid of the unauthorized occupant, which is a
Okay.
material breach of their contract.
Okay.
So because mom and dad aren't doing anything about it, you're evicting everyone.
Okay.
Can you turn around and re-rent to mom and dad at the sheriff lockout? Absolutely.
Oh, okay. But do you really recommend evicting people right now, because the wait is so long? It's
If you're evicting for non-payment of rent, get your ass in that courtroom yesterday. Don't wait for tomorrow.
okay.
If you're getting paid the rent money and dealing with obnoxious behavior, pick and choose your battle right now, especially in LA County. And remember this, okay? If there's a 70% chance you're going to trial by jury, you're looking at anywhere from $8,000 to $13,000 and 8 months of no income.
Okay.
So remember that when you go, would you actually evict? You tell me.
Right.
It's expensive, both in time and in money. And sometimes, and I want to say this all to you guys so badly, how much money are you going to spend to prove that you're right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Let me share a story with you guys, okay?
Okay.
And if you've heard it before, I'm sorry, but somebody out there hasn't, and they need to. A gentleman hired the law firm that I used to work for.
Oh.
I hope everybody picked up on that. I'll leave that at that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
He hired us not to do the eviction. He hired our firm to do the collections for him. He won a jury trial during COVID. He won a jury trial during COVID in LA. Okay. His rental contract awarded him attorney's fees. Boston was on the other side of the fence. So they tagged him for $137,000 in attorney's fees.
Ouch. Wow.
Boston then went to court, okay, and filed a reduction in attorney's fees and got them reduced to $86,000. Landlord says, we still want more money. Go get it. Okay, we'll file the collection against him. We're gonna have to file general civil. The second we file that case, do you know what Basta did?
Hmm.
They
What?
filed an appeal on the eviction.
Wow.
Do you know what they found out during the appeal process?
Hmm.
That the attorney that he hired to do the eviction wasn't the firm I worked for at the time, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have the phone number of the owner on the 3-day notice to pay rent or quit.
He made all that. Wow.
So because there was no phone number on the 3-day, it was considered an unlawful eviction,
Oh, wow.
okay? With that being said, because the landlord got possession, the tenant moved out, everything. Now, the tenant is suing the landlord for attorney's fees to Basta for
Hmm.
$40,000.
Hmm.
They're also suing them for illegally evicting the tenant.
Wow.
Now,
How
can't the,
much-
can't the guy who hired them sue for malpractice?
That's the only option he has. And when you work at a law firm, it's really hard for you to tell someone else to sue another attorney.
Mhm.
Okay. I don't work there anymore.
So I have one more question for you.
You can
With
have 30 for me. Let's do this.
Oh, thank so the same tenant that we're talking about. Okay,
Mhm.
we have school, so I can restrict them from doing using any of the amenities at the site too, right?
No, you cannot.
Even though they're not a tenant on contract?
You don't have to provide amenities to a tenant not on contract, but you do to your tenant. If you don't
Oh.
provide them to your actual tenant,
Oh,
then
I did.
you're,
Yeah, I did
Go-
say she can. I just said that her son and his girlfriend can. So that's legal, right?
absolutely, they're guests.
Okay.
What does it say in regards to guests under your HOA?
Oh, there's no
Guests
swim.
allowed to use the facilities without the member present or the resident present or something along those lines?
No, it says no tenants are allowed. I mean, no family members
None.
are.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, then you got a big issue. But what I do is start coming down on mom and dad to get rid of the unauthorized occupants.
Okay.
That's what it's all going to boil down to. And is there an HOA involved? I was assuming.
No. It's just a private property.
Apartment complex? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No problem, but let them know they're gonna have to get rid of the unauthorized occupants. The free ride's over.
Oh, okay. But then-
And I
but
would
what-
just keep the pressure. Well, let's see what
But that would
laws
be-
govern you.
That would be like going through an eviction though, right? And you said that was going
Hold
to be.
on. Let's see what laws govern you first.
Oh,
And,
okay.
and let me explain something to you guys, okay?
Mhm.
Just because you serve a notice doesn't mean you have to start an eviction.
Okay.
It's that notice you need to start an eviction. And what you can do by serving the notice is what you're doing is you're paving the road for future problems later. Let me give you an example. You tell them to get rid of the unauthorized occupant. They tell you that they're gone. You turned a blind eye to it for several months. Now there's an issue with the property and he's back. So now you're serving another, get rid of the unauthorized occupant. What you're doing is showing the court that this is an ongoing nuisance so that when you finally really need to attack, you have all these other ongoing notices in place where you've been trying to notify him, doing the right thing, giving him plenty of time to cure. Makes sense?
Right. Okay. So first start with a 3-day cure or quit.
For the unauthorized occupant. But before you do that, we
Mhm.
want to look in stayhousedela.org and
Okay.
see what rules govern you. Because let me say, these people,
Mhm.
these legislators took a plot map of the county and threw darts. No joke, because it
Mhm.
doesn't make sense. And some cities, even in incorporated cities like the city of Torrance, it's a great city, right? It's incorporated. Parts
Right.
of it are unincorporated, so it's governed by the DCBA. And other parts of it are so low income that it is now governed by the city of Los Angeles,
Mm,
all in the city of Torrance.
oh, okay.
So that's what I mean of you have to go address specific because it doesn't make sense. We used to be able to do it by zip code, not anymore.
Okay.
Not anymore. They drew lines on an imaginary map that nobody knows about but them, but I can find them in stayhousedela.org and on ZMIS. So there's two places you can go look and see what governs you before you start poking people in the eye.
Okay.
Example, if you're governed by City of Los Angeles's rules and regulations, you don't want to get in an eviction trial for nothing, okay?
Okay.
If it's unincorporated LA County, you have a much better chance of going through the through the legal process and through the system, but you still have that caveat if you're in LA County. The reality is LA City's rent control that has been in place for the past 30 years has spread like cancer and infected the whole entire county of Los Angeles. And now there are cities within the county of LA that are more restrictive than the city of LA itself.
Mm,
Pasadena is one of them. The city of Santa Ana in Orange County is our newest one of bureaucracy and bullshit. And what they say is they want a copy of all written communication between you and your tenant from inception to date. What does that mean in simple English? They want an entire copy of your entire case file from your criteria when they applied to yesterday. They want all your documents. They want all your forms.
yeah.
Right? Right?
Right. They do.
So when they're asking you a question in court, they already know the answer to it. They already have the document to prove it. And you guys are telling me, oh, and now the DCBA is providing free legal counsel. Wait until you have to provide the DCBA a complete copy of all of your written communication from inception to date. It's bullshit. Sorry. Can you tell I'm a landlord? It's bullshit. It's ridiculousness at its finest. So far I've heard of 11 to 12 owners, about 12, that have actually gotten a letter from Housing is Key telling them that the tenant actually never qualified for the rental assistance and they need to send the money back. They have 30 days.
Oh, wow.
If you happen to get one of those letters, my opinion to you is this, because I can't give you advice. Don't send them the money back. Contact your legal counsel. Because they never should have approved it in the first place. I mean, it would kind of be like if your lender came to you right now, today, and you've been paying a mortgage for 16, 20 years and said, you don't qualify for this loan. Give us the house back. Doesn't work that way. And maybe you qualified when you purchased the home, but you don't qualify now. But if you're still making the payments, you're good. Does anybody else have anything? Tried to leave this open for you guys to pick my brain in a more relaxed setting.
Patty, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I wrote you 3 questions. I put it in, I don't know if it's easier for you to read in the little chat box.
Oh
but,
yeah, I got it. I got you now. I was ranting, so hey.
Oh,
sorry.
no worries. Am I exempt from, I think it's what, 1482 if I own it in my own name? I know you said LLC and trust, but I am exempt because I don't own it, and those is just in my personal name, correct?
Did you serve the tenant with a letter of exemption?
This is a brand new move-in, so on the rental agreement, I'm assuming I just need to check mark that box, correct?
Bingo, don't forget the box.
Okay, got it. And then I know you've mentioned no barbecues, no trampolines, no above ground pools. Where do you get those addendums? Because I use AOA and I don't see those particular addendums. Is that something I would just have to write, like
Yes.
make my own personal addendum?
Yes,
Okay, and I know you don't like the word play, like play structure. How would I say that if I don't want to
jungle
allow?
gym, jungle gym.
jungle
swing
gym.
Set. Swing
Okay.
set, jungle gym.
Got it. Okay, and do you, I mean, I'm a parent, so I'm technically fine with it, but would you allow it? Or is that an attractive nuisance?
Ow,
Jungle
sorry.
gym.
Sorry. Babies have sharp teeth, sorry. No, it's an attractive nuisance, in my opinion.
Okay,
And the reason being, I'll tell you guys straight up what the problem is. If you have a trampoline on your property, your insurance company will cancel you because it's an attractive nuisance. If you have a swimming pool on your property that's above ground that the tenant installs at their own whim, it's an attractive nuisance and your insurance company can cancel you. Okay, that's what they call it. It attracts a nuisance. Okay, and the reason we don't want trampolines on our properties is because they're the #1 cause of broken bones. And quite frankly, we don't want the tenant to sue us because they fell and broke their arm on a trampoline they installed. Make
okay,
sense?
got it. Yes, thank you. And then last question would I use a pet addendum for an emotional support animal? I get that I can't charge anything extra. But I do like on the addendum how it says the dog, the pet needs to, or the animal or whatever has to be on leash, and they're still they're still responsible for damages and things of that sort. But unfortunately, AOA doesn't have, or at least I haven't found that form where it's for service animals or emotional support animals.
Do you know why?
No, why?
Because I want you to think of that not as an animal, but as a what?
Oh, as a wheelchair.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Do you have someone that moves in with a wheelchair, letting them know that if their wheelchair does damage, they are gonna have to pay for it when they move out?
No.
It's already umbrellaed in your rental contract, right? So now your new tenant has a new wheelchair. You're not gonna tell them anything about what they can and can't do with it because we don't do that.
Oh, okay, but if they are like off leash and the dog does attack someone, aren't they still?
3-day quit, you're in violation of the city's rules. The city
Okay.
has rules and you must follow them. It says so in your lease contract.
Okay, so then for a service animal and emotional support, they don't have to sign anything extra. Zip it. Okay, thank
A
you.
request for reasonable accommodations. That's what they need to sign. A request for reasonable accommodations. That's it.
For the emotional support, so I do have to have a paperwork for the emotional support animal.
Bingo, you need a doctor's note. And then they need to fill out a request for reasonable accommodations and give it to you.
Okay, I'm gonna look for that on AOA's thing. I'm assuming they have that form. So
AGLA has it. It's F4 or F6.
okay, got it. Thank you.
Sorry, you guys. And as you get to see my memory really work, right? It's disgusting. Don't ever get in a fight with me. I remember everything. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, it's that beautiful memory of yours, a photographic memory.
I'm telling you. And then some things I just don't recall. And people tell me, you really don't remember? Yeah, it happens.
So, I looked that up on the Stay Housed LA.
Yeah.
It talks about landlords in LA County, so I'm assuming that means I'm
Okay. No. Tell me when you turn to it, what's the very first thing it says? Does it talk about California Tenant Protection Act?
yes.
You're governed by state rent control. That's it. So if
Oh.
you're, so that just told me that you dodged any city BS and any county BS. Because
Okay,
it didn't say that you had to be registered with DCBA, right?
right?
Just says California Tenant Protection Act. So
Yes.
now what that tells me is you're governed by statewide rent control for that particular property.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and see how looking that up just told us everything?
Okay,
So it makes it much easier. So what governs you? You're governed by California statewide rent control. If
Okay.
it's a single family residence and you're exempt from the statewide rent control, then you don't have anything governing except
Okay.
whatever laws are in play.
yeah,
Okay,
it's 16 unit apartment building.
you are subject to AB 1482. Hands down.
Okay,
Okay, so if you want to ask them to move out, you got to pay the relocation fee of 1 month's rent at this time.
okay.
Okay, if you're evicting, you don't have to pay that.
Oh, okay. So then I
Okay.
have to ask them all to leave and then I won't have to pay it. But my it would be just cause though, because they're.
Exactly, you're not paying a relocation fee. It's a material breach of the lease, which is a cause for eviction. Eviction says no relocation required.
Okay. But think that that's. When we talked earlier, all of us, we said it was really wouldn't be reasonable because of the cost of it, right?
Well, slow down, okay?
Okay.
What we need to do is start hitting them where it hurts. And where it hurts is, hey, mom and dad, if you don't get rid of them, you're gonna get evicted.
Okay,
So it's sending the message of, hey, this is unacceptable. The COVID pandemic's over. You didn't do whatever. Unauthorized occupants are no longer protected under the COVID moratorium.
okay,
He is an unauthorized occupant. I'm asking you to remove him from the premises. You're in violation of your contract.
okay,
And then use flagging, right? Like you could be evicted, right? Not you will be.
Fogging.
But I'm sorry. Yeah.
yeah,
So one of the tips and tricks I teach is don't speak in absolute terms, and you absolutely can't get yourself in trouble. If you don't give someone an absolute answer, you're not threatening them. You could be evicted if you don't vacate him within 3 days. Did I threaten him? No. You will be evicted. Yes, I did. So if you
Oh.
don't speak in absolute terms, you're not threatening anyone. Don't ever forget that. Same thing applies when you're writing a letter. You might be evicted. You could be evicted. This could be against your credit. Could, might, maybe, most likely, should need to become a forefront in your vocabulary and not
Okay.
definite terms like yes and no,
okay,
or you will.
okay. And you want to hear something funny?
Yes.
She had sent me a text message the other day asking if I could write her a paragraph, either in writing or text it to her, saying that she's a good tenant and that I have no problems with her. She said because she's going through a personal problem, and so she would need this as a reference. But I didn't
Okay.
answer.
Okay,
didn't-
are you ready?
Yes,
Are you ready?
Yes.
This is the same tenant?
yes,
Haha, this is how you got her. You ready?
okay,
Thank you for bringing to my attention that you needed a letter. After review of your file, it's going to require an interior inspection. You
Oh.
can't ask me to put in writing that everything's great and fine and dandy if I haven't inspected and saw everything that's great and fine and dandy. After review of your written rental contract, it appears that you have unauthorized occupants, so I'm going to be unable to put this in writing for you at this time. Please remove the unauthorized occupants and we can discuss this further.
good idea.
Hi,
That's
my
good.
name's Patty. I'm here to help you,
Yes.
like really help you.
Well, I just went through where she said that she had, this is another story for you. The same tenant. She said that she had mold in her unit. And you had given me a place.
PRC, they do it for
Right.
free.
Right. but she wanted, when I called them, she wanted the actual lab results, and PRC said that they didn't do that. When I talked,
We're not testing for lead. We were testing for asbestos, correct?
no, no, she had, I mean mold, sorry, mold.
Mold.
Mold
Okay.
and it's just that she just really needed to clean her bathroom because she
Mhm.
has all those people in her room, the son and the girlfriend and herself, and sometimes another man comes every once in a while, but they never cleaned their bathroom. When I had somebody come in and he was like a mold person, and they they fixed it or whatever, there's nothing wrong with but he said that it was just that they had bad
Housekeeping.
housekeeping.
Improper housekeeping.
Right.
Yes. And
But-
those expenses actually fall back on the tenant when it's improper housekeeping, and anything you incurred because of it now falls on them and they become responsible to pay for. She wanted a copy of that mold report. I always give him the it's all clear report and not the it's bad part of it.
Well, I gave her, well, also Buzz was just the ones that would give you allergies. It wasn't any of the stronger ones. It was just the common ones that are in the air.
So you want to
But-
know something funny?
Yes.
Do you know what an allergic reaction to mold causes?
Yes,
What does it cause?
it causes allergies and it can cause asthma.
It causes respiratory failure. So someone that is sick from mold and is having problems from mold is in the hospital on a ventilator because their lungs are shutting down.
Oh, okay.
So next time your tenant tells you they're sick from mold, ask them how long they've been in the hospital.
You know, I heard you when you asked somebody before, when you told them, you asked them if they were allergic to cheese because it has penicillin, which is a form of mold. I told that we were laughing.
That's just Patty. I mean, that's what my brain goes. Oh, you're
Uh-huh.
allergic to mold? Are you allergic to cheese? No. Are
Uh-huh.
you allergic to yogurt? No. Why are
Right.
you asking me this? Because they're forms of mold. I just
Right.
find it interesting.
Right. I was laughing about that.
But they were going down the road of what is Patty getting at? I'm not lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
I've worked with attorneys too long to realize that sometimes you got to go around the barn and come in through the other side of the farm to show them that they already know the answer.
Mhm. So I have to wait to do it anyway, because it'll still be considered retaliation because of her mold thing.
I'd wait 6 months after the mold issue. Absolutely.
Okay.
180 days. No joke.
Okay. Because I did pay for her to leave while they were doing it, like we're supposed to.
Mhm. Mhm.
And they just said that it was just bad housekeeping. But then how can you prove that?
Because the licensed professional told you that that's what it was.
Oh, okay.
Now that expense, and if they were put in, that all falls back on them because you have a mold addendum in your rental contract, correct?
Yes, I do.
And it talks about cleanliness and proper ventilation, correct?
Yes, it does.
Oh, look there. You were armed and didn't even know it.
Mhm. Well,
Watch yourself though when you guys and hear me out. Remember at the beginning of this, we talked about that Basta case and how they went so that they didn't have to pay. I'm seeing a lot more of that coming about.
Mhm.
So it all goes
Well-
back to my story of, I know the tenant owes you money. I know they owe you $9,000, but do you really want to poke them in the eye and go sue them in small claims court and expose yourself to more litigation? Or are you going to let that go quietly into the night? Because sometimes it doesn't help us. Sorry, I have 2 kittens attacking something they shouldn't have.
That's your
Sorry.
feet.
It's 2 little terrors over here just tearing shit up. Look at them.
There they are. What are their names?
This one is Dudesy, and he's not happy right now. And his
Uh-oh.
sister is Nebula, and she's special. She's a cross-eyed Siamese.
Uh-huh. Oh, she's
Uh,
pretty.
Maybe you'll get your head in there. Maybe. She's a little. They're a little feisty. They had a snack, and I have an English bulldog too. So they're all trying to get along, and it's been a little interesting.
And right
Forgot
now
what it's like.
you're a mom on the phone, and so the kids are getting in trouble.
Right? I remember when COVID first happened, it was right when I started Widgets Way, and I was trying to think of new creative ideas to talk to you guys about what was happening with the COVID pandemic, and it was all bad news. So I would go around in various areas, various parks, various situations, various places, just trying to bring light. I even did it from the peach orchard across the street from my house. I mean, you never knew where we were going to be live from. But
Well, you're-
I'm sorry.
I said you're a fun person. Thank you.
I understand the stress that comes with this. I have skin in this game. And I know what it's like to ask someone a question and have them just look at you and smile with the, I won't tell you if my hair's on fire, you know? And there's so much of that cattiness in this industry because these landlords have learned the hard way, paid the price the hard way, and they don't want to share because nobody helped them,
Right.
you know? And the property managers have the same mentality. And I remember sitting at my desk as a corporate regional property manager doing this, okay, at my desk, holding my, and who can I ask? Because I remember calling legal counsel, and I remember specifically who this legal counsel was. And they said, Patty, you always call us with the weirdest situations. Well, hey, welcome to property management. Okay.
Right.
Like, we don't always have the answers for you. We don't practice property management. We practice law in a courtroom. And the second that I heard that, everything started clicking. Everything started clicking of, why am I asking an attorney what a better business practice is when they don't know? Right?
Right.
So it was in that moment that I said, I'm going to share my knowledge with people, and I don't want anybody to feel like I feel. I don't want them to feel like they don't have somebody to ask a question to or get a solid answer out of. And sometimes I don't have solid answers. I'll tell you, tread lightly. Usually that's my message of, you may not want to go down that road. That one doesn't look so great. All right, I see Bill C has a question. Let me get this answered for her, and then we'll keep chatting, folks. Eastvale, the tenant installed a trampoline. Nothing is in the lease agreement. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. They made a modification to the property without written consent of the landlord. Paying attention? It is in your contract. You just got to know what it's called. Okay, that's where I come in. So it is in there. They made a modification to the property without written consent of the landlord that acts as a material breach and is an attractive nuisance to the landlord's renter's insurance policy. I'm sorry, to the owner's policy, and has to be removed immediately. It is a material breach of the lease. The insurance company can come out there and cancel the owner's insurance just because that's on the property. Okay? Same thing goes for one of those little kiddie pools, those stupid plastic ones people buy for their dogs. Your insurance company can cancel you for having one of those on your property. It's an attractive nuisance. A child could come in there and drown. There's no pool fencing. There's no security features that are in place on a state level when you put one of those on the property. That's the problem. Got it?
Yes.
Is it those kinds of trampolines that are removable? They're all removable, honey. They put it in there, they can take it out. Okay, but it has to come off of there, because what's going to happen, and I don't mean to be a jerk, but let me tell you this. When my daughter was about 11, I think, she got a trampoline when she was 5 years old. She jumped on it until she was about 11, and then we moved. And where we moved to, we didn't want to take the trampoline with us. So I gave it to some friends of ours that had kids too. Here, I'm giving you a trampoline. We go over to their house. They've had this trampoline at their house now for about a week. My daughter goes to jump on her trampoline that she's jumped on since she was 5 and breaks her leg at
Oh.
their house.
Uh-oh.
Who's responsible?
You are, because you gave it to them.
Nope.
Them because of their house insurance, right?
They're a tenant.
Oh. Oh, yikes, the landlord.
Now do you understand why a trampoline is an attractive nuisance? And no,
Yes.
I didn't sue anybody. It was my trampoline.
Hmm.
Okay, but you get in the understanding of why, and the pool should make sense to you. There's no gating, there's no fading. State law requires a 6-foot fence, locked perimeter. If they have a freaking 8-inch deep plastic kiddie pool for the dogs to play in, and some kid face plants in there and drowns, guess who's going down for that? Not the tenant.
Yeah.
Their pockets aren't deep enough. They come after us. We have deep pockets, right? We're
Yeah,
the
that's-
landlord.
That's why I tell the people they can't have yard sales, because if someone gets damaged, hurt on the property, it's gonna come after us, not the tenant that's selling their wares.
Exactly. Exactly. Does anybody else have anything they want to talk about? Are we going to end it for tonight? Are we done chit chatting? Either that or I need more ice.
Patty, just because someone said yard sale, so is that like an addendum thing? I never thought about yard sales. Like, should I include that in the rental
You can
agreement?
have an addendum that you don't allow yard sales at the property or garage sales.
Oh, okay, got it.
Do you know why yard sales are bad for an owner?
No, why?
Because it attracts people to come trip on their sprinklers.
Uh-huh.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just talking to you out loud.
Yeah.
Some people don't think about the cause, the effect, the after effect, and I always try to point in, did you think that went all the way through? Like, I don't know if anybody was in the AGLA meeting on Tuesday with Dan, and Dad made a comment, if I can charge pet rent, because if my rent's $1,000 and they want to move in and they have a pet, I can just make their rent $3,100. No, you can't. That's bait and switch. Hands down, that's bait and switch. First, you have to deny them under the terms they applied, and then give them new terms to reapply under, or you're going to be in trouble.
Huh.
Okay, anytime you're changing the terms of which the tenant applied,
Mhm.
you got to deny them and then offer them new terms for them to reapply and then approve it.
So if that
I would-
person had an addendum to their contract about the yard sale, they have to give them a 30 days notice then? For a change of,
30-day notice of change of terms of tenancy for any rules you're changing.
right, okay.
And some municipalities don't allow you to change the rules after inception.
Oh,
So unincorporated LA County is turning into worse than the city of LA. No
hmm.
joke. You can also not do a security deposit increase in unincorporated LA County from inception.
Okay.
There's a few little caveats in there. Also, one of the real sucky things that the unincorporated LA County, and I'm just gonna call it DCBA, okay?
Mhm.
One of the real sucky things that DCBA put in their B&B bureaucracy and bullshit is that there's a per diem amount daily based on market rent.
Oh.
So it's like $266 a day per diem, plus $66 for each adult, plus $33 for each child. If your rent's $800 a month and you have to put them in a hotel for 4 days while you treat for bed bugs, is that going to annihilate you? And they
Yeah.
don't owe rent. So
Wow.
some of the things that these municipalities are doing are going to knock us out of business if we're not cautious, if we're not paying attention, if
Mhm.
we're not careful. And it's exactly what they're trying to do. Take us out. They want control. I knew that in 2021 when they tried to pass a law and it didn't pass on the ballot, but I watched all that legislative stuff because I want to know what's coming at us, okay? So
Right.
check this out. In 2021, maybe it was 2022, they tried to pass a law. It was 2022, sorry. They tried to pass a law. It didn't pass. It fell on its house at the House of the Senate. It passed the House of the Assembly. It fell on its face at the House of the Senate. The reason why it fell on its face at the House of the Senate, and I'll tell you in a minute, and you'll go, are you freaking kidding me? Check this out. They tried to pass a law saying that if a property foreclosed with a tenant in possession, that the first right of refusal to purchase that property in the foreclosure from the bank went to the tenant.
Wow.
Wait a minute. I happen to be a real estate broker. I can tell you when a tenant purchases the property, they have to show 12 months of paid rent receipts to show that they've paid their rent on time for the past 12 months in order to qualify for the loan to purchase the house. If the tenant paid their rent for 12 months, would the landlord get foreclosed on?
They should.
Probably not. Exactly. Okay, so you're hearing what I'm telling you.
Right.
The tenant doesn't pay the rent and they get to buy the house for pennies on the dollar?
Hmm.
Okay, hold on. If the tenant doesn't qualify to purchase the house, and they won't because they can't provide 12 months of paid rent receipts, then the second person that gets first right of refusal to purchase the property is a tenant advocate group. And they have up to 1 year to obtain the funding. The reason it didn't pass is it wasn't fair to the bank to float that mortgage or that debt for a year while the tenant advocate group tried to obtain funding. Patty, how does a tenant advocate group that's nonprofit obtain funding to buy a house?
Hmm.
They get 33 1/3% of any monies awarded to the tenant.
Hmm. Like the lawyers.
Okay, that's how. But that told me they're trying to steal our property from us.
Mm-hmm.
That was 2 years ago. That law didn't pass. It'll probably come back on the ballot and be readapted somehow so that it gets passed. Sometimes the things that don't pass help us put the pieces of the puzzle together.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because it tells us what they're trying to do, right? They want vacancy decontrol. They want us not to raise rents anymore. What? They want to control the housing market. That's what it boils down to. And Biden, before he said that he wasn't running for president, reelect, okay,
Mm-hmm.
has been trying to implement rent control on a federal level across the nation.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
Because that's what this country needs, right?
Patty, I have a question.
Okay, can I make a statement first?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Can we close the border and flush the toilet? Okay, now go ahead. I just want to say that we need to stop letting all these people into this country. They're changing the way we do things and trying to implement their ways here. And if they want to implement their ways, they need to go back there. Okay, wherever there is. All right, go ahead. What's your question?
So by law, if I have a 4-bedroom, is there, like, by law, I can have 2 occupants per room?
Are
Or,
you sitting down?
mm-hmm.
How many square feet is your 4-bedroom?
I don't know, it's a 2-story house. It's pretty big. This is the one in Chino.
Let's just call it 2,500 square feet.
Okay.
Okay, fair enough.
Mhm.
Okay, We know it's more than that. It's probably 3,100 square feet if it's a 4-bedroom in Chino in a new construction less than 5 to 10 years old. But what do I know? Let's just roll with 2,500 square feet. The industry standard is 2 per bedroom plus 1 on the couch. What does the industry standard mean to you? Nothing. What does it mean to a judge? Nothing. Why?
Oh,
Because it's not the law, correct?
okay.
Okay. So Patty, what does the law say? The law in California under building and safety code says that there can be 9 persons for every 690 square feet.
Yikes.
Okay. I went on Zillow and it's showing like 1,800 square footage,
But
but
what I'm trying to tell you is
Yeah.
the law in California says you can have 9 people for every 690 square feet. So let's just say that it's 1,300 square feet. You can have 13 people in that property. No, 18.
okay. So I think someone moved in and I asked and they said they're not living there. So I feel like they might be staying in the loft because it's big. It could be converted into a room. So I
How
can't prove
many-
it.
How many days can a guest stay on your written contract?
A week.
3 days is a much easier number to
Oh,
figure
okay.
out. And I got to be careful what I say to you and how I say it, so that I'm not giving you legal advice, okay? Most standard written contracts say 14 days. Do you know how hard it
Okay.
is to find an unauthorized occupant in 14 days? Because what it says is consecutive. So if
Right.
they stay there for 13 days, leave for 1 and come back, the time starts over. Shit. So most property managers make that day 3 days because look at
Okay.
it this way, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If they're still there on Monday, it's a problem.
Okay.
It's just an easier way to catch it. Does that make sense?
So I don't mind adding them to the lease, but I did say I will increase the rent. I just feel, again, I can't prove it. No?
Hold on. You're in Chino, yes?
Yes.
Are you governed by statewide rent control or no?
No. I'm
Okay.
not.
Let's pretend for a minute you were, okay? Just so I can help you guys all understand something. So you're limited in Chino, off the top of my head, by 9.6% annually, correct? Yes.
Correct.
Photographic memory comes in handy sometimes. Other times, not so much. In the event you were governed by statewide rent control, you're limited to 9.2%. And then they say, well, we'll pay an extra $200 for the unauthorized occupant and make them a legal occupant. Is that an illegal rent increase? Absolutely. That's where you get in trouble for charging for unauthorized occupants. If you have a maximum rent increase and you're telling them it's going to be $200 for this person to move in with them, and you just blew that maximum rent increase, you did an illegal rent increase is what you did. You need to be cautious and careful on how you do them. If you enter into an entire new contract, then it's a whole new contract. But if you had a higher security deposit on file and you enter into a new contract, you're going to have to refund the over 1 month's rent if you do a new contract. If you just do an addendum or a lease extension, you might be in a much better position.
Okay, so I was under the impression if they're paying 3,000 and I multiply it by like 9, that's
Honey,
That I
you're
could-
exempt, you're exempt from rent control on a city level, on a county level, and on a state level. So
Mhm.
none of that applies to you. So for you being in Riverside County or in San Bernardino
San
County,
Bernardino,
I'm gonna tell you, yes, do that rent increase all day
Okay.
long and twice on Sunday. But be
Okay.
careful that you don't do another increase in the same year.
okay. Yeah, and then
Okay.
just give them a new lease agree with their month to month. So I was just gonna do a new month to month.
Perfect,
Okay.
because
All
you're
right, thank you.
creating a new tenancy.
Okay, thank you.
Just watch that security deposit if you have more than you're supposed to with the new law that passed, but you shouldn't if you're exempt from that as
Yeah.
well.
They're good tenants, but I just rather have them. This is the house that the neighbors are already complaining that there's a lot of people. So I'd rather just have them on the lease. And again, it's a big house, so I could have at least 8, and I don't want them to be lying or sneaky. So just add them on the lease, keep it,
Yeah, let's keep
yeah,
this professional. Let's keep this
yeah,
legitimate. I have no problem adding them to the contract. Let's move forward and do
yeah,
business as normal.
that's,
That's
yeah.
how I would handle it because I want my tenant to be forthcoming with me.
yeah,
One of the tricks that I use, and we're going to go into this with the new class series that'll be coming out on the website, just so you guys know, is one of the things when I'm moving people in is I tell them, hey, look, I'm going to go over this paperwork with you and what your responsibilities are to the best of my ability, but I'm going to have a conversation with you right out of the gate. Okay. I want to be able to call you or send you an email or send you a text message and have you respond and us communicate that way, whatever it may be, telephone, whatever. If you come home from work and you find a note on your door, know that I'm mad because you're not taking my phone call, you're not answering my email, and I'm now having to do my job. I'm letting you know right now, I'm really good at my job. That's why people hire me. Please don't make me do my job. Please communicate with me. Don't come home and find a note on your door because that's going to make you pissed and me.
yeah, I agree. And I can't prove if they're sleeping in the loft. So regarding that issue, what do I do? I do go there twice a year. And actually I told them I'm gonna be going 3 times a year, just because I want to check on the like maintenance. I'm like, hey, I like to do maintenance. So I come 3 times a year. I'll always give you 48 hours in advance. And they're very sweet, and they're always just willing to work with me. So I'm like,
So
but I
keep that
can't.
relationship
Okay,
open and don't stumble that up.
okay.
The market is shifting. I don't need to tell you guys because you guys are having a little bit more trouble renting your vacancy. Yeah.
Yeah, but this one, they're
Yeah.
they're good. Yeah,
Oh yeah. It's becoming a little bit more difficult to get those vacant units rented. We're not in the housing crisis that they keep talking about. Okay.
yeah,
We're starting to see a shift in the market, a flux in the market, if you will, a change.
yeah,
So don't be shocked if we start seeing rents come down a little bit. If you're having trouble getting one of your vacants unit and you're sitting at market rent, bring it under market just a little bit and then lower your deposit amount. Lower
yeah,
things that don't affect your base rent, especially if you're in a rent control area. Example, okay? $500 security deposit on approved credit. Patty, why in the hell would you take a $500 security deposit in today's society? Because if somebody has a 740 FICO score, you're not going to want to mess that up. If I lower the security deposit and entice them to move in a perfect world, somebody with that kind of credit isn't going to leave me a mess when they move out because they don't want to mess their credit up. Chances are I'm going to refund them that entire $500 anyway. So what am I actually doing? Discounting money that doesn't belong to me?
Right.
I'm just saying, you guys, that's where it doesn't affect you. And then there's an and then. Remember how I said unapproved credit?
Right.
Oh, so Sally just applied and she only has a 600 FICO score, or 650 FICO score, not the 750 we wanted for the $500 deposit. But we can still rent to you, Sally. We just require 1 month's rent as a security deposit because you didn't get the unapproved credit.
Right.
Patty, can I have a quick question? Hi, Patty. Patty.
Patty, are you there?
think her cat's got her.
Oh.
I'm joking.
Yeah, so was it, so can they, I mean, can people sleep in the living room? That is a good question. If, I don't know, this.
I
whole
actually
thing.
had somebody do that where they converted the living room into
Mhm.
a bedroom, but I don't know.
Okay.
I did want to get clarification on that. And I also wanted to get clarification. I know she just said someone who has great credit,
Yeah,
they wouldn't want to affect it. I just had someone who has great credit
yeah.
not pay their last month's rent, and then they moved out and they used the security deposit as their last month's rent, but they didn't want to pay for any of, like, cleaning and carpet
okay,
cleaning
yeah.
and all of that. And so I feel like technically you could, I don't know, I'm gonna ask her because
Well, they'll
like
have a fold out couch. And then they can fold it back up in the daytime.
Well, mine's a loft. The living room, that's crazy if they can convert that into a living space, because I'm telling you, the neighbors complained. They called code enforcement and they called me. They said, yeah, that you're having people sleeping in the living room, in the kitchen. I'm like, that's absurd. Like, no, but I don't know. I feel like it's a code violation, living room and, you know.
Well, well, I've heard myself that you can have two if you like. I
Mhm.
have one bedroom, and they can say
Okay.
two to the bedroom and one to the living room.
See, that's what I heard too. That's why I'm like, screw the neighbor. But at the same time, like this family, I'm like, hey, if you guys are having someone, like, I'd rather put them on the lease, you know?
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know. That's crazy. They can, the loft is different. I mean, I plan on converting that into the room eventually, but a living room, that's wild if they turn that into how the other lady said, they turned it into a bedroom. That's
Well,
insane.
well, I've had somebody do that before, where they actually had like a queen size bed in their living room.
Oh my. You know what? The market is shifting. I do feel like a lot of people are needing help. I feel like you're gonna get more people
Patty
living
took her phone
in
by,
the.
but she's gonna jump back on in a second, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I do feel that. And then what the other lady was saying too, yeah, I agree. I don't think like someone with FICO score of 700, they can be just as bad. So
Yeah,
I
it could
don't
be
know. Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's whether you get lucky or not, I guess.
yeah, I feel like the way you can
Yeah.
kind of, I don't know, for a tenant to kind of screw you is just not pay that last month's rent, because what are you going to do? I mean, if they've already given you a notice to move out at the end of the month, so you're
Mhm.
not going to actually go through evictions when you're going to get
Yeah,
it back in 3 weeks.
yeah,
So
you're right.
I don't know.
Hi,
All right,
Patty.
what did I miss? What did I miss? And you guys aren't going to be able to see me now because I have to be near a phone charger and it's not well lit. And yeah. But whatevs. You can hear me, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. You didn't need to look at me anymore anyway.
Patty, can I have a question?
Absolutely.
Very quick one. I recently have a tenant just move out and he only moved in for less than 2 years. But we're returning the property to excellent condition. Everything is fine. He moved out, he left the whole kitchen very, and on the wall, he put more stuff, so I had to hire a handyman to clean the whole thing. So, can I charge him half of the cost?
It's really hard to hear you, and it may just be me. I don't
No.
know. It's
Yeah, I can't
everybody.
hear her.
Okay. But what
Mhm.
I got out of it is your tenant moved out and there's a lot of repairs because of the handyman, and you want to know if you should charge him and sue him in small claims court. That's what I
No,
got out.
I told him to turn the deposit, and I need to return it. I told him that I did return half of it, but the other half that I see and you need to pay the play. Only one bedroom, about 600 square foot, and to hire a lady to clean the kitchen and the bathroom, but everything else. So can I charge him half of the cost of everything, and maybe whatever the cost for cleaning, like $200 or $300, and then
It's
return the
it's
remaining
just
deposit?
so hard to hear you. I can't
Oh.
even make out what you're saying.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that was good.
Right?
So I just want to know if I can
Yeah.
charge him half of the cost for painting and $300 for cleaning.
You just want to know if what?
If I can charge him for half of the cost for painting and $300 for cleaning the entire unit. because he
You
left
can
it,
charge him for the cleaning without question. How long did he live in the property?
2 years.
You can charge him 1 year of paint.
1 year of, oh,
The
Uh,
lifespan on paint is 3 years.
okay,
So 2
Mhm.
years of paint are wear and tear and 1 year is on him.
okay, got it.
Okay. So what you do is you take the total amount of the bill for painting and you divide it by 36 months.
Okay,
Divide it by 36. And then you're charging him for, or then he doesn't pay for 24 of those months and only pays for 12. Make sense?
makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. That's
All
helpful.
right.
Thank you so
And
much.
that's how you guys prorate carpet or prorate paint. You just have to know what the lifespan on it is. And the Department of Business and Consumer Affairs gives you that information. But off the top of my head, it is 5 years for carpet, 7 years for upgraded carpet, and 3 years on paint.
Wonderful. This is very good. Thank you so much.
No problem. Right
So-
out of my arsenal.
I'm gonna go back to that, my wonderful tenant again.
Okay.
Okay, what if she decides that now she wants to put them on contract? Can I deny that?
What do you mean?
You know, remember how I told you that the son moved in because of COVID?
That's off the table at this particular point in time. He's become a nuisance. He's rude. There's problems. So this isn't working out anymore. Your unauthorized occupant needs to go, or y'all have to move out.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
I mean,
just
I gave you some really good verbiage of after review of your request.
right. But if she decided, okay, well, what if I decide to make him like a legal I just want to make sure that I can legally tell her no.
So let me ask you a question, okay?
Yes.
What is your criteria?
Well, they have to be a tenant. They have to be on contract.
No. Your criteria is what you give to an applicant to tell them what they have to do in order to qualify to rent from you.
Oh,
You
well,
know,
he has to
you have
do
to
an
make-
and
bingo.
Right.
If he doesn't make 3 times the amount of the rent, doesn't have the FICO score, he doesn't qualify. But yes,
Okay.
you can do that. The problem becomes if he qualifies, you're gonna have to allow it. That's
know.
where the caveat is. So if
Yeah.
you know they don't qualify,
No, hopefully. Okay. I just wanted to see if she threw that at me too. Thank you.
okay, no problem. I see that somebody else sent a message in here. It says, "Hi, Belsie, you sent this message to me only, and I have to change it for everyone for Patty to see. It's only 12 months because carpet has a lifespan of 36 months and he lived there for 24 months." Okay, I hope that answered the question. And Julia, thank you. That all makes sense to me.
Yeah, sorry, she only sent it to me, but it had to
No,
go to
it's
everyone.
okay. I'm just glad that we all work together as a team to make sure that the person that has a question gets their question answered. I do not want people holding their head in their hands, wanting to rip out their hair because nobody answered the question. So what we're talking about is a lifespan on paint and how much you can charge. Lifespan on paint for wear and tear under the Department of Business and Consumer Affairs says that it's 3 years. She has a tenant that just moved out and the unit needs to be painted. Because the tenant lived there for 2 years, that is considered wear and tear, and you can only charge him for that 1 year that he didn't live there. So that's what you're going to charge him for paint. How to do that is to divide it up by months. It's the easiest way. There's 36 months and 3 years, and that's how I do it. I hope that makes it all. I got the paint. We're all good. We're all friends here. It's okay. I mean, come on. My phone died and you guys just kept it going. I love it. What did I miss?
We were
Oh,
just
Patty.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh, so,
you go ahead.
oh, okay. No, I think we're all asking, so can a loft or a living room be converted into a bedroom?
Yes, with proper permitting and a certificate of occupancy.
Yeah, because if a tenant did that, that would be, you know,
Modifications to the property without written consent of
Yeah.
the landlord.
that would be cause for eviction, yeah, for sure.
But what if there's no modifications? Like, it just seems like they're sleeping there, but you can't prove it.
It all falls back to how many days does it say that a guest can stay? And then you know your problem of I don't have a camera, so here you guys, I'm gonna do you a solid right now. Pay attention, okay? Sometimes things for us are literally impossible because we can't always put a camera on a single family residence of a rental house to see who's coming and going out of there because it would be a violation of their privacy or whatever they're going to say. But there is no law that says you can't put one on the neighbor's house pointing at your house so you can watch what's going on.
No,
I
I
heard
think,
the shuffle. And
I
then
think Patty,
let me say this. If you guys are putting cameras up on your own property, stop putting them up in obvious places. Okay? Everybody goes up to a doorbell and looks to see if there's a Ring doorbell there. And the next thing we all do it is we look to see if there's cameras. Are they watching us? Can they see us? Act like everybody can see you. You'll be a much better person because of it. But the reality of that is we all do it. When we walk up to a house, we look to see if there's a Ring doorbell and we look to see if there's cameras. It's the first thing we do. If we're doing it, tenants are doing it too. If you put your camera in the tree and not on the eave of the house, they're less likely to find it immediately. Just saying, okay? I had a eviction case once. And I will never, ever, ever forget this case. This is a commercial building, so work with me here. Think of it like a medical suite where you would go into the main lobby and then there'd be a marquee telling you which suite you needed to go to. Everybody was left the commercial building except this one person that was holding the entire building hostage. Okay? And for the life of us, we couldn't lock them out. They kept changing the locks. Every time we'd go there to change the locks to the main lobby so that we could get in the building with the sheriff and go kick them out of their suite, they changed the locks to the main lobby. So the second the sheriff came back, we couldn't get into the main lobby so they could go evict them out of their suite. It took 3 attempts for me to finally figure out that the tenant had placed a Ring doorbell or a video camera in a bush or on a tree somewhere. So when we came to the property to change the locks on the common area door, they knew it and came right behind us and changed them back. Third time I figured out what they were doing, told the landlord to go take the door off. First time in my career I've ever told somebody to take off a door. And, you know, it's a funny statement because landlords are like, my tenant didn't pay the rent. Go take the door off. You know, it doesn't work that way. But in commercial real estate, for a door going into an office suite, I could. Okay. First
Right.
time in my career I was ever able to tell somebody, go take off the door. And it felt good, just so you know.
Well, parents do that to their children sometimes too.
Yes, 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 we do, don't we? Yes, we do. But they're not our child and we're not their parent and we're not trying to teach them a life lesson. We just want them to do what they're required to do under their contractual agreement.
No, I understand that. I was just saying that we got that idea from some of the parents. They do that So it was good to kick the door down like you did.
Some of the things that I've done in my career, I just laugh at because you would never tell somebody go take off the door
Yeah.
ever. But in that particular scenario, it was exactly what needed to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had tenants do all kinds of things. They've went to Home Depot and bought new house numbers and changed the address on the property so the sheriff can't lock them out.
Wow.
I've seen it all. You have no idea. They're just as savvy as we are when the metal hits the meat. And I remember one day I was in court and I was evicting this tenant and she showed up and I was like, oh snap, this is going to be good. And a friend of mine I was sitting next to actually snapped a photo in the courtroom. So I actually have a picture of this, believe it or not.
Mhm.
I didn't take the picture. I know better. Okay. Can't take photos in a courtroom. So the tenant walks in and she has on a spaghetti strap sundress.
Mm.
It's very tasteful. It's cute, you know, but you can't have exposed sleeves or cleavage in court. Your shoulders must be covered.
Right.
Okay. Just like you can't wear shorts. So the bailiff approached her and was like, you can't be in my courtroom because you have exposed shoulders. You can't be in here that way, blah, blah, blah. You go out in the hall. And I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going to win my case. I was so happy. I was ecstatic. Okay. My tenant walks back into the courtroom and she's apparently found someone with a small child in the lobby and now has a baby diaper on each shoulder with the spaghetti strap holding it down. Okay.
Like a football player.
Bingo. And I'm appalled that the court is going to allow this to happen. Okay. And I am literally an inch away from saying, Your Honor, or excuse me, bailiff, she has baby diapers on her shoulders. I think that's disrespectful for this court. But I also didn't want to call somebody out on something they did and have it come back and bite me because I've seen that happen a lot of times in a courtroom. So instead, I shut up and I learned something in that moment. When humans are pressed, we will MacGyver our way out of a situation. She MacGyvered her way out of a situation and she deserves kudos points for that. She still lost the eviction. Okay. There was no doubt about that because I don't file an eviction unless I know I'm going to win. I don't like a 50-50 shot. I don't like a 60-40 shot. If you can't tell me 80-20 or better, I don't even want to spend the money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's just the way my brain works.
Good.
All right. Does anybody have anything else? We've been on here for like 2 hours. Patty, what is the percentage of rent increase allowed in commercial in LA County? What is the percentage of rent increase allowed in commercial in LA? There's no rent control on commercial. There's no restrictions on commercial. It is also not subject to price gouging during a state of emergency because the law clearly states under California Penal Code 396 paragraph B that it has to do with rental housing only. So that doesn't even apply to commercial. The thing that can get you in trouble with commercial is if you raise the rent so high, so quick. Oh no, I don't think a constructive eviction happens in commercial real estate either. There isn't a maximum increase. I have to ask an attorney if you can be guilty of causing a constructive eviction in commercial real estate. I know you can in residential. I don't know if you can in commercial. Okay. What is a constructive eviction? A constructive eviction is you raising the rules or changing the rules so quickly, so fast that it causes them to be evicted. That is a constructive eviction and it's illegal. In other words, My tenant currently pays $1,000 on rent. I'm not governed by anybody, meaning city, county, or state. All right. I'm only subject to the price gouging during a state of emergency. We're not an emergency, so I took their $1,000 of rent and I raised it to $2,500 and they got a 90-day notice. I just more than doubled their rent in 90 days. That caused a constructive eviction if they can no longer afford to live there anymore. That is not allowed. Make sense? Okay. But I don't think there's constructive evictions in commercial real estate, but I don't know. See, every once in a while, you guys throw something at me and I'm like, I'm going to have to find that out and get back to you. But I know there's no rent increase limit in LA County on commercial. Commercial was not included in rent control. There is something that I need to tell you though, that you're not going to like much. You know, all those free attorneys that they're talking about for BASTA and all that kind of stuff? They are now offering free legal counsel for commercial tenants. Oh shit. Oh shit. Okay. So all part of the Shriver Act. The pro bono attorneys are in commercial too. Okay. All right. Julia has a question. I used to think someone wouldn't want to mess up their good credit by not paying the rent the month before they move out. But technically nothing will happen because their credit isn't affected regardless anyway. Right? Correct. Right on the nose. Bingo. The only way their credit would be affected, okay, is if you did an eviction, but evictions don't show on credit reports. Landlord-tenant debt doesn't show on credit reports. Would it affect their credit? Most likely, yes, it would affect their FICO score, but it's not going to show as public record.
How do you get it to affect their credit score? I would settle for that. Like, I don't get, how do you at least do that? Because, I mean, I talked to you about this, about the people that didn't want, that used their security deposit as their last month's rent, and they didn't, so they left me with nothing. And so it's in that limbo. It's in that, you know, is $1,400 enough to really, you know, go to small claims? I don't know, but I'll settle for anything.
Was $84,000 enough to sue BASTA and have them appeal the eviction? I'm just saying, pick and choose your battles.
I know. Okay.
How much money are you going to spend to prove that you're right?
Okay.
I used to have a number before COVID. It was $500. My rule was, if the tenants move out and they owe me less than $500, I'm not chasing them. It's not worth it. Then that number jumped to $1,000. Now that number for me is at $2,500. Everybody has a different yardstick. What works for me doesn't work for you. Okay? Everybody has a different measuring stick. You need to figure out what that number is and stick by that, or you're going to make yourself crazy if you start managing a whole bunch of properties. I mean, how much money are we going to spend to prove that we're right? And basically, you're going to go file small claims against them for the $1,200, and that's going to cost you, what, $55 to file small claims? That's going to give you a money judgment, and then you're going to hire a collection agency to go after them for the $1,200. Here's the reality of what I just said. It's not going to cost you anything up front except the small claims case filing. Okay? The collection agency is going to keep a portion of the funds they collect. So your out-of-pocket expense is going to be very minimal. And I don't want you to spend good money chasing after bad money. Okay? So if you want to go file the small claims to get the money judgment against them, and that costs you $55, you can go up to $12,500 in small claims now. After that, hang on. I'm going to sneeze. Sorry.
Bless you.
It happens. You can go after them in small claims and get that money judgment against them, and then hire a collection agency to go after them in the collections. The reality of that is the collection agency is going to keep 40% or more of anything that they collect for you. So you have
Right,
to
okay.
decide what works best for you and what hoops you're willing to jump through and what you're not.
Okay, got
Okay.
it. Thank you.
No problem. Fountain Valley, tenant evicted. It was agreed in court that if the tenant vacated the premises on June 1st before 11:59 p.m., the tenant would not have to pay back the rent. The tenant vacated the apartment on said day, but did not return the keys until 2 days after, which was on Monday. What's the difference between vacated and returning the key? So I'm going to assume that you have a stipulated agreement that you came to in court. Am I correct? Yes. Okay. Well, hey. It's funny how I can put pieces of a puzzle together very quickly. I'd have to see the verbiage on the stipulated agreement. Does that make sense? I'd have to see word for word, verbatim, what it says on that stipulated agreement. If it says they must vacate and surrender the keys, one thing, did they call you and tell you that they vacated? Because if they didn't call you and tell you they vacated, how would you know? Make sense? So I'd have to see the stipulated agreement to be able to answer your question better. Could the owner send the tenant to collection agency or small claims? Yes, but they would have to. You can email me a picture. You can't text me a picture to this number or through our Zoom class. Sorry, you got to email it to me. widget@widgetsway.com. Okay. But I'd have to see the stipulated agreement to see what it says there. And then most of the time when you have a stipulated agreement that the tenant didn't comply with, in order to enforce that agreement, you have to go back to court and file something called a declaration of non-compliance. Then you get the court to order to reverse everything you guys just signed and agreed to. In other words, if you have a stipulated agreement and the stipulated agreement is the tenant is supposed to pay you $5,000 by January 1st and move out by February 2nd, and on January 1st, you didn't get your $5,000, your legal counsel is going to want to do a declaration of non-compliance to the court as soon as possible and get that heard in court so that they can get the writ of possession issued and get that writ and the lockout happening faster than waiting for that February date. Also, if you dismiss the money without prejudice in a stipulated agreement and the tenant doesn't comply with the agreement, you can go to court and get a declaration of non-compliance filed, letting the court know that they didn't move out when they said they were going to. So now all the money is due and payable. Oh, that's how you do that. And the record is now unsealed and everybody can see it. Come in. Anybody have anything else for me?
I have a last question.
Okay, let's do a last question and then I'm gonna get out of here because I haven't
Okay.
eaten dinner yet.
I have 2 years ago, I have a plumbing company come in and do a job. They are a scam and did a very bad job. I end up would have to hire another company to fix their problem. And I didn't look at my credit report. Recently, when I refinance and I find out that they're mechanic lien against my credit, and they never send me any notice about I have to pay the bill past due. They just have a collection company. So how could I get rid of them?
The first thing that you need to do is hire, well, maybe not. Contact them, tell them that you're gonna call the contractor's state licensing board because they did a crappy job. Let them know
Okay.
that you also need a copy of their insurance so you can file a claim for the work that you had to do to make it right. And if they don't remove this lien against you, you're going to the state contractors board with all of your evidence.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
Okay. And then if you
Perfect.
still don't get the results you need with that happening, then I'd hire a real estate attorney to get that lien removed.
I see. How long?
Otherwise, when you sell your house, it's gonna pay him that money before it pays you.
That's correct. I agree. That's why I'm trying to get them removed because I look at their online, uh, comment. There's a lot of people complain about this scam.
That's
So
why I told you to go to the state licensing contractors board and start threatening them.
I will.
Okay.
I'm glad you mentioned it because I don't know where to start.
No problem. I'm here to help.
Thank you. You have a good night. I'm so sorry, Jackie.
No, don't apologize. I'm glad that we could sit and powwow, and I'm looking forward to doing this at the end of every month on every Wednesday at the last Wednesday of the month.
Sounds good. I look
Patty, does
forward
it start earlier than 8? Or
I started it at 7.
oh, okay.
And it's okay. We're just figuring this out. So I'm gonna do a lot of advertising for it for next month. So the last Wednesday, our next Wednesday evening meeting should have quite a bit of people in it.
Okay. Thank you, Patty.
All right. Bye, you guys. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Hi, thank you, Patty.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Bye bye.
Bye bye.